According to global reports, over 800 million women and girls are menstruating every day worldwide. Although periods and menstruations are a natural process, we still hesitate to talk or debate openly about it. So to talk more about this, we have with us Ani Namgyel Lhamo, who works with Bhutan Nan Foundation, and we have Sir Karma Wangchuk from Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan under the Ministry of Education, and virtually we are joined by Lopan Choten Dorji, who is a scholar, a Buddhist researcher from Kyoto University in Japan. Tell us, how old were you when you first heard about menstruation?
I have heard of the menstruation when I was like 10, 11, 12 years from the elders, friends. In my family, I'm the only daughter, and so I heard mostly from my friends who were elder than me when I was like 10, 11 years. And for me, I have my first menstruation when I was 13 years old, and it was such a difficult to take care of it because my mom have never teach me, and they're not, I don't know why they're not talking of these things. Maybe she's not educated also, and she feels that it's not necessary. And how to take care of the menstruation, I learned from my friends, and I always thank them for teaching me on that.
I feel I'm in a way quite lucky because I have 4 sisters in the family, and then I knew about menstruation and buying sanitary pad beforehand. And sir was also mentioning that you have a daughter Mola, and then sometimes you also buy a sanitary pad for her, and I think that's very thoughtful.
I have my daughter, and as a husband and as the father of the daughter, I think it's my responsibility to support them with their monthly period to buy sanitary pad, sanitary napkin, sorry. And I think it's a responsibility to every man and every brother, every the father, and we can. I think we need to change our thought here that. It should be the responsibility. The times have changed, and we often claim to be the citizen of 21st century. I think our thoughts on the menstrual hygiene need to be changed by every man.
Besides hesitating to talk about menstrual health or issues, we also shy away to discuss, to enter certain places in Lakhamona. So I think we'll go to Lebe Choten Dorji to ask that why are I think before we talk about why women are not allowed to enter certain places in Lakhang, maybe we'll ask Lebe Choten Dorji, how are women portrayed in Buddhism, as per Buddhism, how are women portrayed?
Sampo, and greetings to all viewers, and thank you BVS for inviting me again to this talk in the eve of International Women's Menstrual Day. And I should say women in general, without exception, are equal with men in terms of possessing leisure, endowments, and access to freedom. So they perhaps deserve more respect and honor than men in terms of their gratitude and kindness. Unlike in the past, women today are seen as more active and more engaged in Buddhism. So whereas there were many barriers and obligations for women in early Buddhism. For instance, when the godmother of Shakyamuni Buddha, Mahaprajapati Gautami, requested Buddha for her entrance to monastic order, was not welcome. So this was not a total rejection, though, but an emphasis on the gravity of her request. So many early Buddhist canons and Nikayas mention how women in those days were deprived of social and religious freedom. Also, there are many underlying factors that have attributed to the obligation of women's position in the order, and this has even led to controversy among Buddhist scholars. So one of the serious factor that led Buddha to emphasize on women's ordination was the possible impact of women on the life of monks. So, of course, for Buddha, there was no question about his knowledge on the potentiality of women in attaining high achievements. However, the repercussions of allowing to enter the monastic order was a huge matter of concern for Buddha. So finally, the godmother of Buddha, Mahaprajapati Gautama, and groups of women were allowed to enter the monastic order, and only accepting the 8 conditions they were asked to follow strictly. So which I found no need to mention here. So since then, many women were ordained and attained the highest realization. So but today, this is hard only as a history and becomes no more applicable to this 21st century in terms of gender equity, social and religious freedom. So from being underprivileged of religious freedom to becoming a personification of wisdom in the practice and tradition of Buddha of today, so women's role has greatly changed from the time of Buddha to the early Mahayana. So I should say, unlike in the past, women today in general, and particularly in Bhutan, continues to enjoy freedom and plays a significant role in both social and religious aspect of life.
Yes. Before we ask Libby's opinion on why women are not allowed to enter certain corners of Lakhain temple, I would like to ask Ani Namgyel. Do you have, since you are a nun, you live in a monastery, so do you sometimes hesitate to when you have your periods? Do you feel uncomfortable?
Yes, I feel very uncomfortable during the period to enter the Lakhang or to offer the water because menstruation is something people say it's dirty and everything, but actually it's not a dirty, it's follow from our body, but the way it comes, people consider it as a dirty, and it makes us also feel very hesitant, and it's a stand, yeah, and so that stand makes us to feel very uncomfortable to come forward to do things, but we have no options because we have to stay in the monastery, and that is only our place, and we have to go it anyway. But I think so the hesitation is there, but we have another option that there's a lot of hygienic how to take care of the menstruation. So like before during my mom's, and I think from the elders' times, they doesn't have like a menstrual pad and anything, and that's why they have, I think the water facility and everything was not there. Now we have everything. There's lots of menstruation sanitary napkin in any types, like whatever size you want, in whatever company, I mean the branded we want, we have now, and we have enough water to take care, clean us. So now I don't feel any hesitation because we have a knowledge on how to take care of menstruation and how to take care, and this way we change our sanitary napkin oftenly, and we keep ourselves clean, plus we make sure that other people also doesn't know that I have a menstruation today or like that. So this way hesitation is there, but there's I will say that I feel comfortable. Yeah.
Yes, and I think going back to Lobichete again, is there any concrete reason why women are not allowed to enter certain corners or altars in some Lakhangsla?
Okay, like you pointed out, unlike other places, there are certain corners in the monasteries and temples in Bhutan and few other Himalayan regions where women are restricted to enter. This again is a long-standing tradition of Buddhists in general, and particularly in Bhutan, where everyone is much aware of it. This has not become the talk of a day until before recently, and perhaps it is a matter of concern that the younger generation perceives. First, I would say it is not a stereotype or a long taboo, but an unavoidable and long-standing tradition that has existed since the time of early Buddhism in India in the form of cult or a caste system. Secondly, it has become no other than the traditional law of this country, I mean Bhutan, for a long time amid the Bhutanese concept of Tendril and Namto. So if we closely analyze to our understanding, it is no different than that we need to be in formal dress with kapni or rachu to enter the monastery. So in the context of Bhutanese tradition, it is not the religious belief alone responsible for this prohibition, but rather a long-standing tradition of our country, which we have cherished for centuries. So again, it is not only women who are barred from entering the sacred corners, but men and even monks are prohibited from entering if they have engaged in any sorts of activities deemed unfit to enter, which will defile the almighty and enlightened ones. So though there have been many discourses and debate and even controversial statements from different perspectives has surfaced, but the tradition today remains still unavoidable. However, His Holiness the J. Kempo puts it in a very holistic approach of understanding for all. For instance, I quote, "A passenger on board the flight is prohibited from carrying any weapons or inflammable things." So this is done not only for the safety of one or two people, but as a precautionary measure of safety for all on board. So similarly, it is unpredictable if anyone from 100 women may have their periodic discharge, and if so, it becomes untraceable and becomes very unhygienic. So therefore, the tradition of prohibition came into existence as a level playing prohibition, so that to prevent unnecessary circumstances from the very beginning. When asked if someone is benefited from entering the sacred corners and loses if otherwise, His Holiness answered, "There's nothing as such to get and lose by entering and by not, but cautions to keep the tradition at a seat." So this reminds us that any repercussions may happen if we do away with this tradition. Again, when asked if the restriction is against the human rights or freedom, His Holiness again said that it will be like a situation where the patient is given freedom to choose a poison over medicine. So again, His Holiness caution to keep it away from the human rights. So let's say, keep aside the outsiders. I'm pretty sure in the context of Bhutanese, we are very much aware of this long-standing tradition, and we cannot overrun it with the changing times. So this is my thought on this issue.
That's very profound. And talking about hygiene, Sir Karma, tell us about Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan.
Thank you, Sonam. And especially the Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan, it was initiated by a German-based NGO in 2014. In Bhutan, we took off from 2015. Then thereafter, every year we celebrated on the 20th of May, 20th being the main cyclic menstruation cycle for the women, and it's believed that the 5 days are the very important day for the women. Especially it happened, the severity of the menstruation happens especially for the 5 days. That's why we have kept it as May 20th every year. So that's a history behind why we have kept it as the May 20th as the menstruation hygiene day, actually. And with the MHMD in place. Now we have something called a Bhutan campaign, where we are trying to advocate the parents, the school-going children, the nuns, everyone who is through the menstruation actually, on the hygienic behavior about the menstruation and all actually. And so this year too, we'll be marking the day on the 20th of this month.
And Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan is under Ministry of Education. So have you traveled to corners of Bhutan and done some research?
There's no concrete research as per our record, but there are a few instances where the UNICEF and a few of our counterparts, the donors, they did a small research study on it actually, and it's believed that I think almost 83% of our school-going children who has a menstruation actually, they believe that it's a psychological process actually. That's one thing that we have learned. And as per the data of 2000, that I just flipped through a few of the references and the literature, and the study done in 2018 shows that almost 44.7% of the school-going children, especially, they skip the school because of the menstruation. Right. These are some of the highlights that we keep in our mind while advocating the importance of the menstruation hygiene. Actually.
Yes. Few years back, before the pandemic, I traveled with an NGO. I was doing a program on menstrual hygiene awareness. And then from the NGO, I found out that there were some young girls who were not aware about periods and schools, and then they also missed their classes. And then there were so sad stories actually. I was really touched. Some, they didn't have enough money to buy sanitary pads, and they used clothes, handkerchiefs. Some even went up to the extent of using socks for sanitary pad. So is there any initiative from Ministry of Education to help girls like that?
I'll not say what you said is cannot be true, but this can be actually. But to be precise, I think we are always blessed to be a Bhutanese actually, and that's the first thing that I keep in my mind. We can have such cases, but of late, especially after the COVID pandemic hit our country, especially last year, so we, with the support from our donors, with support from the government, we have sent off enough sanitary napkins to our schools through our education offices, and we are sure by now those stories would be the history only
Not
for
relevant,
us actually.
yes.
And from the Ministry of Education, we try our best to support our schools. We understand there can be a situation where the children will have the money to buy, but there won't be the resources available to buy. There can be a situation children will not have money, but there can be resources. So there can be some such contradiction at the remote, far-flung schools. But with the initiative of the Ministry of Education and our donors and the government, of course, we now have the MHM, Menstrual Hygiene in place, and the Red Dot Bhutan campaign. So we are trying to doing our best to send as much as possible. So every the program that we try to prioritize, the first list comes into our mind is sanitary napkins for our school-going children, where we have a menstruation actually. And especially lately, I think the JICA, they came forward, and we have sent enough menstruation hygiene programs like the sanitary napkins. So we'll keep on supporting for some time, and hopefully after a few years, I think they'll be able to handle themselves actually. That's what I feel. In the long run, I think this shouldn't be a problem. So I'll agree to what you said. I think there can be such situation actually.
And sir, I would like to ask your personal opinion as a man working with Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan and as a father of a daughter. Do you feel there's still stigma to talk about menstruation with family, especially maybe over a dinner table or with a family, or if there is a boy or man present in the room? Is it comfortable to converse?
Our society, I think we are strongly based on the beliefs that we have through the generations. I think we had all sort of the taboos, the cultural discomforts. I think for me, I think before joining the Red Dot campaign and the present office, I too was not really comfortable discussing about the menstruation with my daughter, especially those related to me, I think especially with the ladies. But after joining the present office and with the Red Dot Bhutan campaign, lead in the Red Dot Bhutan campaign, so now I feel, I think as a man, I think we should not hide all these things, nor should the girls or the ladies hide about this. Actually, I think these are some of the natural phenomena I think everyone should accept. I think as I said earlier, so today I think we talk a lot about the 21st century, and our thoughts also should be, we should be migrating our thoughts in a better way actually. And for me personally, I don't feel comfortable, as I mentioned in the earlier conversation. So I buy sanitary napkins for my daughter, my wife, so I don't feel comfortable. Even often I was told by a few of my colleagues, if there are some shopkeepers, lady shopkeepers asking a sanitary napkins is a little difficult. I think we should not feel uncomfortable doing all these tasks for our ladies actually. That's what I feel as a man actually. And instead I think every man should come forward and should support this.
Lasla, and I think since we're running short of time, this will be my last questions to all of you. To begin with Ani, I think most of us hesitate still to talk about and to enter Lakha or others. Personally, it's I think personal restriction also. So what would be your advice for our viewers, especially women viewers?
Actually, it's true that we are very hesitant to go to the sacred Lakhang, and it's become a culture here in Bhutan. And when I was in India and Nepal as a nun, they kept that sacred Lakhang, I mean the Kengkang in other place, so people just go here and there, and I have never thought of that when I was in India studying. And when I come to Bhutan and when I'm working with nuns and giving a training on menstrual hygienic day, and when the monks say you are not allowed to enter, I was, what, that makes me a good, that was a question for me, why? When I was in India and Nepal, I have no one say like that. And maybe because their sacred Kengkang is in different place, and I think that's why. But here, some of are very near to the Lakhang, and so they are very restricted to go. And I will say that so it's become a culture, and we should follow it, because the worldly God, I am sure we should, whatever we do, we have to do very clean. And so when the menstruation, we have a menstruation, we carry some dirt, yes, 10 I can say, and so if you enter like that, I think something, so when we have a superstition, it's sure that if something happened by other thing also, we will say that, because I entered the Kengkang and now I'm feeling that and that superstition make us more worse. And so I will say to all the girls that you should take care of you should take care for the hygienic, and we should follow our culture. So in the book, I have never seen, but I think because of my limited knowledge, I have never seen, but I'm sure it is written somewhere. But whatever our culture is doing, or whatever the people, our elders have done, I think we have to follow. And so I would like to tell to all the younger one, and especially to the nuns in Bhutan, to take care of yourself. And MHM is nothing, and it's something natural, and you should not feel shy to talk. And we have been giving the advocate on the MHM since the Bhutan Nuns Foundation was in the board, and I think every nuns know, and I want all the elder nuns to teach the younger nuns how to take care of the menstruation, so that they will feel very comfortable when they have, and how to take the diet during the menstruation. And I want everyone to come forward to speak it. So it's nothing, it's just a natural, and everyone have to go by that things. And so I want you to stay healthy and take care.
And Levi Chetik, if you could just give advice to our viewers on why most of us hesitate to enter certain places. Sometimes it's personal restriction also. So what would be your advice as a Buddhist researcher?
I myself, being born as a son to a women mother, stand in solidarity with all women who undergoes hardship in any form, both premature and mature life. Though the periodic menstrual cycle is nothing different from excreting unwanted things from the body, but there are certain unavoidable circumstances that our women face silently during this period. But there are huge people who support this. There are NGOs, individuals. For instance, one of the panelists have rightly pointed out that how he support his own daughter and his wife. So likewise, there are huge communities who support this, who support our women during this hardship. So as such, I have no such particular advice, but still then, in such situation, if you think you are physically not okay to enter the temple, but you are mentally fit to offer prayers and worship, even outside of temple also. So it is a matter of how you emphasize, not a matter of objective or subjective. So I should say that sincere faith and devotion are more important than being physically present before the place of worship. So this is my thought to all the women in and around the world today.
Lasla, thank you so much, Lalibi. And Sir Karma, what would be your advice for our viewers as a father, as a brother, and maybe as a friend, and as a worker, employee of Menstrual Hygiene Bhutan? What would be your advice for our viewers?
So it's a man speaking about the menstruation. Often people might take it a little differently, but to all the viewers, especially to the girls, I would like to tell you that the menstruation, it's nothing abnormal. Do not get yourself stigmatized about it. So I think keep yourself healthy, and if you're a girl, discuss about it with your mother, even with a father, I would say, and to the parents. I think it's your responsibility to educate your daughter about the menstruation hygiene. So at the end of the day, it's your daughter, and you can be father to some, you can be brother to some, and you can be friend to some. So as a man, I think we need to really take this one little seriously, and times have changed, and as a man, I think we can do more, and women need us, especially during the time of menstruation. So thank you, BBS.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your time for this discussion. And I was personally very happy to have two men guests for this discussion. And I feel personally, I think we feel that it's a very important topic, and we need more discussions like this. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching.